Wear Your Cape to Work is a podcast about professional project managers who are truly the superheroes at every organization. We want you to hear their stories to be inspired to wear your own cape to work. My guests today are Jen and Sukanya of Activision Blizzard King. Jen is the manager of the Microsoft Gaming Security Project Management Office. She's also worked on cybersecurity project teams at Dell, VMware, and HP. Sukanya is expert technical program manager at Microsoft ABK, and previous to that was a program manager at AWS and HP as well. Both have their PMP, amongst other professional certifications, and are leading cybersecurity projects at the largest gaming company in the world, noted for games like Xbox, Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, and StarCraft. Also Candy Crush Saga, and the list goes on. In 2023, ABK was acquired by Microsoft for $75 billion. We're so lucky to have both of you with us today to talk about what it's like to be a program manager at a global company that's this large and what superpowers it takes to do so. Welcome, Jen. Welcome, Sukanya. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're here. Right out of the gate, I think our audience probably wants to know, with all those games on the menu, are you guys gamers?
Yes, a closet gamer, I would say.
Similar, probably.
Sukanya too?
Yeah, similar.
Do you have a favorite game from that list that you play?
Candy Crush is on every mobile device I have.
I was going to say Candy Crush. Yeah.
That's awesome. How about across the company? Is there a game that is the most popular right now? I'm sure it's changed over time.
Well, I would say probably one of the most popular now, because we just had a new release, was Call of Duty.
Yeah. What I've noticed is it's all over the place, right? There are pretty hard and fast like groups of people that play certain games, right? And they kind of stick to that. They venture into some of the other ones, but then come back to the fold kind of thing. So yeah.
Gotcha. Are they set up like scheduled meetups where people do that? Gaming is like all day or all night to me. So I didn't know, is there a time when people, or they just meet online when they're gaming and they run into each other there, or is it like how does that work where people are just playing, you find each other on the game?
It's a little bit of everything. Sometimes they do scheduled meetups, and other times it's just, hey, my bud's online and I'm going to join it
Nice.
and play with them. So, yeah.
And then also teams get together, right? So our immediate team
Okay.
get together and say, hey, let's once a month or once in 3 months or whatever it is, pick a time and let's this is our team bonding time. And, I'm this player here, and they all connect and they play together. So it's like
That's awesome.
virtually you're together somewhere.
And it helps
That's
some of us
cool.
learn new games that we're not used to playing.
And then there's Zoom sessions or, video sessions set up, and you can just drop in and watch people play and learn a few things and, jump back out when you're done. You don't necessarily.
And that's in the
need to
workday.
Yeah, yeah. It depends, right? They can do that during the workday, or it's allotted like dedicated time, and you can do that. And that's kind of the bonding part of it, right? We all know that you have to get project teams together. It's very important to build relationships.
Yeah, that's nice. You have an actual built-in gaming experience to get together and do something, do you do other things? I mean, do you guys have other virtual meetups, or is it mostly focused around that gaming platform or gaming idea?
It's a challenge sometimes because I have a remote team and we're located all over. So getting people together, sometimes we do virtual lunches, virtual get-togethers, we'll play games, we'll just have social time, um, explore different ways to interact so we can build that collaboration, that relationship and trust with one another.
How many people do you think you have on your teams, Jen? I always want to say underneath you, but that's not what it means. How many people are you working with on your particular team?
Probably we have about 150 folks within our organization that we work with and collaborate with. So, yeah. A lot.
Yeah, there's over like 13,000 people employed at the company. So you have 150 seems like a small number compared to the whole organization, right? But
Mhm.
that's a huge team. I mean, there are companies, we have listeners right now on the podcast whose companies are half that size or a quarter of that size or a fifth of that size. So to think that you're overseeing a program, a cybersecurity program with 150 people to build that, it's almost like a small company in some of our listeners' minds, right? This is how would I build rapport in my company, not just on my team. You're thinking team, but other people are thinking, wow, that's a lot of people to, and on what's a turnout like? Is it just come as you may, or are there, do you get a big group, 50%, quarter of the people?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
depends on the thing. Hmm.
I think we try to do use diversity in time zones and things to gather the most folks available, or we'll split it up and do a couple of different sessions so people all over can come and join in. So we probably get a good 80 to 90% participation in most of our activities. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Hmm.
It is fantastic. Congratulations. Okay, that's like a ding, ding, ding. Everyone, we're marking Jen's superpower is getting people excited about, what they're doing as a team together. And Sukanya, it sounds like it's not just team building,
Hmm.
but sometimes there's an action item or an initiative that has to be part of that conversation, but it's around the social relationship building time, and then you tackle something.
Yeah, it's the water cooler of current ages, right? We used to be able to walk up to something and say, "Hey, this happened. What do you think and how can we make this better?" Whatever it is, right? Or I have this problem, who do I need to contact? Whatever. That has turned into these kind of virtual meetups, and that's
Hmm.
not all of them you're resolving something, but one or two times like things come up, and there's some action items that come out of it. Even if it
That's
is to
great.
say we need more of those, right? we, need,
Oh, right.
we
We
need
need to have
another
another
lesson
one of
next
these.
month, right? This
Hmm.
is good. Got to know people a little bit better.
Yeah, that's one way, right? In a virtual scene to even foster that idea of, hi, I see you on the screen over there. Maybe we should meet up in a smaller group later. I recognize something you said during this time
Mhm.
together, and I want to get to know you or ask you about it. Or now I know that you have this intelligence about this particular area or topic that I want to talk about. We can take this even offline and talk about it. That's really great. I can't picture like 150 people. Well, let's just say 80%. I'm so bad at math. So say it's like 100 people, on all screen and it takes do you have breakout rooms? Do you have, everybody talks in the whole group or?
We utilize breakout rooms sometimes. We try to
Mhm.
use all the tools available, and sometimes we even break those larger sessions down into individual teams just so we can have
Okay.
some more intimate conversations about certain things.
Yeah, that
And
makes
people are
sense.
pretty good about like the raise hands
Oh, yeah.
feature, or like
Mhm.
throwing things in chat, and there's like another like kind of subculture going on in the chats on the side, right? So it's very interactive.
Right.
Yeah, tools are great. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, I want to talk about the diversity of this team too in a second. But now when you raised your hand like that, Sukanya, for our listeners who are just listening and not seeing us on video, Sukanya raised her hand, but we all know the raised hand functionality in your chat, things.
Mhm.
Microsoft Teams, we can just take that. Well, Microsoft is connected to all these these gamers. Like 13,000 people are interested in gaming, it seems, working for the company. Do you think that some of those regular Office 365 business applications might keep taking on more of a gaming feel, as we go, as more people, are interested in that instead of just a hand wave, maybe there'll be some really innovative things that come out of that.
That's a very interesting take. We should take that back as an action item, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm constantly seeing added emojis, added reactions come up, and it just makes it more interactive and more enjoyable within the meeting settings.
Yeah, I think that I looked at the mission and I won't have it, totally articulated, but the mission of Activision Blizzard, I believe, was to make everyone feel like they could join in a gaming community around the globe, right? Like make it open, make it diverse, make it available.
Mhm.
And then I think King's motto was to just make life more fun, and
Yeah.
some not so worded that way, but not, not articulated quite right. But it was about bringing this fun to work, and it sounds like the company culture is, let's meet where we're having fun. Let's do some of this work where we're having fun. Let's bring fun into the work life, or at least the relational fun of things, as much as you can and still accomplish.
Yeah, Activision Blizzard, I think, is to bring epic entertainment to everyone, right? And then King is more like playful, make it more playful, like play it. That's the key on that one. So it's all entertainment and joy, happiness, camaraderie, bringing people together, that sort of thing. Right.
I like
Exactly.
it. I want to work there.
And in security, our mission is to protect our players and the creators by to enable the joy of the game.
Mhm.
So the joy comes back around.
That's perfect. I'm so glad that you said that, because that sounds like that's for your particular program. Then, that's the
Correct.
motto, is to make it secure so that the joy can be there and elevated. You can um, enhance that joy of what's happening and protect it, keep it safe. That's
Correct.
very cool. Nice. And then you're bringing joy to your team as well. I mean, that it sounds like that's your superpower, and I'm sure they're hiring people that have that same energy, that same mindset. It
Mhm.
seems like that's your recipe for success on your team, but does it seem like it's across the whole organization? I'm betting if people are into making joyful products.
Yes, exactly. It's contagious and it just spreads out across the entire org.
That's very cool.
A lot of our
So
leaders are also gamers. So they are very much invested and very much behind all of the products. And of course, with the security hat, they want to keep it all secure as well, right? So it's like a win-win and just like the perfect concoction, right?
does it seem monumental? I mean, cybersecurity in itself seems monumental these days. How do you keep perspective on, how big of a task that really is, and, the smaller projects and the resources and people that have to do the many parts of this to make that all work, Jen? Is it program management in itself is a big role. How did you find yourself there? Was it a natural transition? Do you love big projects? Can you see all the moving parts? I mean, what took you into program management?
Oh my gosh. Probably how I became a PM was just by chance. I was an organizer by nature. So I've worked as like a process engineer, creating current state and future state processes and designing plans on how to get there. And I worked in a lot of different areas from procurement to sales transformation, mergers and acquisitions. And
Mm,
one of the stints was in security. And I just felt that that was the right place for me. I felt that I had a purpose. I felt that I was doing good. And then moving into gaming security was just a huge plus on top of that because it was fun security. So, and some days it does seem monumental. It's a never-ending
mm,
story. Our bad actors, they're continuously learning and new ways to
mm.
hack in and to create chaos for us, but it also helps me because I'm continuously learning and upgrading my skills. So it's a great career. I love it.
Sukanya, you talked about that too, this, idea of always changing. There's something always ahead. And that might strike project management professionals or program management professionals as unnerving,
Mhm.
because you have an initiative or a strategy and you're ready to push forward with that. Your teams, it seems to me, have a lot of risk that just pops up like whack-a-mole in a lot of ways. Like, how do you pivot? What is the change management like? What are the how do you change course when, there's something new that takes a higher priority maybe than, the status quo in the day to day?
Yeah. So one of the things when I joined ABK and the Gen support, right? Like we think alike in a lot of things. So we wanted to set some lean processes. So one of them is change management, and we also have risk management. We have a raid log. We have very
Mhm.
standard, like we have a project plan. We have all the standard project management, processes, and so that has been, I think, very beneficial to put that in place and to actually work through that when we come across, like you're talking, the whack-a-moles, when something pops up, we analyze it and we look at what is the impact and what are the benefits, and if the benefits are better than not doing it, then we go ahead and create the change request, walk it through the process, get feedback, and then off we go. So I think we lean heavily on our processes, but they're also lean processes. It's not very heavy. We can turn around a change in a matter of a couple of days if we need to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, so it's very quick. Hey, a quick huddle. We've got a template, so we've got all the information applied in the template, right? The templates have saved our lives in so many different ways, so many of the templates. And then we just walk through the process, and we can pull in the leader and say, here's what we're doing. This is why we're doing this. We have these options. This is our recommendation. Off we go.
Jen, do you agree? Smooth like that?
Mostly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mostly. And we've tried to write what I call right size our PMO. Every organization is different.
Mhm.
We have
Mhm.
to move quickly sometimes. Ours is more agile, not necessarily in a framework, but in a mindset. So
Oh,
we do a
interesting.
lot of
Mhm.
processes that fit our organization. We might go deep into details into project charters and project scoping, but our other processes might be very light and agile in nature. So I totally believe you have to review that, especially in the mergers and acquisitions and integrations that we're
Mhm.
going through. You have to review that at least on an annual basis, if not when organizational changes happen, just to make sure you're providing value to the organization in its current state.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the mergers and acquisitions piece too, because not only do you have a global company with lots of products and, risks that pop up unexpectedly, but you also have these acquisitions and teams coming in from other companies, that, you haven't all worked together before. And that's happened repeatedly. Like you've been there long enough where it's happened a number of times, both of you.
Mhm.
And, can you talk a little bit about what it's like? Because not everyone's merged with another company, but what is it like when another team comes in and brings processes or workflows or software tools or styles or workflows? How has your experience been with that? And is there something that's worked really well to make that a smooth transition that you could offer to our listeners as maybe advice?
Sure. You have to have a, a positive idea about change. And then
Mm,
part of that positivity is we're able to select the best class and tools from the diversity that's merging together. Also, we're able to blend cultures and have the best of both worlds, like when working, ways of working and communication, restandardization of processes, new trainings, having a uniquely diverse workforce. That always helps. But there's also challenges in siloed teams and breaking through some of those silos, understanding where redundancies are, gaps are, getting people to learn new skills, and then also flying the plane while you're rebuilding it.
yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a
That's
challenge.
such a great analogy. I've always
Yeah.
loved that one. Sukanya, how about you? Did you have any takes from some of these, mergers or, blends?
So what I've noticed is that the companies that focus on the people and guide them through step one, two, three, four to get them to the new direction for the combined company, that goes smoother than
Mm,
the ones that focus, hey, here's your new process, you will use XYZ now, end of story, right?
mm,
So if you
mhm.
focus on the people, figure out, hey, why does something work for you better than what you're seeing now? And how can we maybe make whatever it is that we're requesting or proposing better for you? That I think works better.
So, Jen, I met Sukanya a little bit before I met you, and Sukanya's big praise of you that day was about the team thing, bringing this team together, we talked about it earlier, but from a standpoint, not just of let's have fun and be relational, but let's try to bring some empathy and understanding and awareness of how each of us works together. Because you could kind of stereotype, like if we wanted to, we could play the stereotype game of I work in computer software, I'm a gamer. People could conjure up a stereotype of how everybody's like this at this company, and this is just how we all work the same way. But we all know that in a global company with a lot of diverse employees, and probably a company that values that diversity because it brings great initiative or innovation rather into work. How do you get to know people a little better? Sukanya mentioned you have done some personality tests.
Yes, we've done a few personality tests. We've done SWOT analysis. We've
Mm.
looked at what people believe their strengths are, what their weaknesses, opportunities of growth. But we've also put it on the reverse. We've had like folks like Sukanya on our team say, what is the other folks' weaknesses or strengths, so they can work on it together. And I love it because we have people on our team that are very great communicators, so we have them train some of us that are weaker on the communication side. So we grow our team from the strengths of all parts of the team. So yeah, everyone's different, and when I go out to hire, I make sure that I'm hiring in different areas where we may have weaknesses that we can utilize the
Mm.
strengths of those folks on our team.
That sounds great. Is there a personality test that you like to use? We've done a few webinars on personality tests at Project Insight, but is there one that you like the best?
One that we've done recently is a disc assessment, and and,
Mhm.
and I really enjoy that because right now we have everybody on all parts of the wheel on our team. So it's
Mhm.
great to see that, and you can also use that tool to see when you're meeting with folks where they fall and how you can interact, the similarities, and where there's challenges or desperate areas that you want to avoid.
I think the most important aspect of it for me was how to work with somebody that is not you, right? Someone that is all the other quadrants or whatever it is, that how to work with them. It's like, oh yeah, this is why, and I need to tone this down or say this or not say this, and then I will be heard, right? So that helps a lot. But of course, you can't go around and do it for a company that, what are we now, like 24,000 people at Xbox? So some of it you're just going to have to build those relationships and
Mhm.
figure it out. Yeah.
And you keep acquiring more people, the bigger you get. And it's not like many companies, many of our listeners today, it's like we add, 3 new hires this quarter. You guys might add 10,000 people to your company, in a
Yeah.
moment's notice. So that's a lot of people to add and to learn. So it does take people with superpowers. And this isn't even a work superpower. Like we haven't even done any work. We're just getting to know one another. That's a big job to, already have that superpower of empathy and understanding and fun building and team building, before you even get down to the nuts and bolts of the work. That's pretty
Correct.
impressive. Raise my superhero mug to you. By the way, everybody bring up your superhero mug. We were at the PMI Global Summit, and we made superhero avatars of everyone that stopped by, project management professionals. I'm going to drop a link in our show notes below today. If you would like your own superhero avatar, there's a link there for how to make one. And there's also a link for how to buy one of our superhero mugs. It actually says wear your cape to work, which I think both you ladies are doing obviously every day. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Jen, what would you say Sukanya's superpower is?
Oh, she has many, but the one that I lean on the most is her freakish attention to detail. I know if I need anything reviewed and I need the most minute detail noticed, she will pick it up, and she can do the same for our other team members. So, if anybody needs feedback, she gives direct feedback, and she's a direct person, and I love that about her. There's no wishy-washiness. If I need something done, I go to her and it's done.
Thank you,
I
Jen.
like that. Sukanya, are you a D then on the
Yes.
disc? profile.
Very
Yeah,
strong,
straight up D.
very strong
No,
D
no,
with a little bit
no
of, I
side to
think, on
side.
the accuracy was the second one, I think. So that explains
Okay.
that.
Very D.
Yeah.
Very D. Yeah. And I'll actually drop a link to the disc profile too in the show notes as well. If our listeners haven't heard of the disc personality test, it's definitely one you might like to check out. Sukanya, you have spent a lot of time in that technical program management area in your career journey.
Mhm.
Um, do you have, I think you had a recommendation when we talked at one point about should someone look around at different industries or different areas of program or project management, or is it good to maybe check out a few and then stick to that, area, to keep growing in that one area? Do you have a feeling about that based on your own career path?
Yeah, like two kind of trains of thought or schools of thought on that one for me, right? One is that the path I took. I started out as an IT engineer and then worked my way up to a team lead, and then I switched over to pure project management, and then on to bigger and bigger projects. So like enterprise-wide projects. So program management was the next step there, but still technical solutions, right? It wasn't like off to a completely different industry like construction or
Mm-hmm.
the Olympics, like you mentioned, right? None of that stuff. Still stayed within IT, but did it under multiple different IT business units or global functions. So that gave me sort of an inch deep and like mile wide or whatever you want to call it, like breadth of knowledge, but very shallow, but enough to do my work, business acumen. Um, uh, um, I had enough business acumen to get my job done, right? That was one path. The other path is I've seen some of my peers stay in one industry. So, for example, if you're in HR, I started out with HRIT. I know somebody that's been 30 years with the stock options program, right? So
Hmm.
like, they just stuck there. So in that avenue, I think you get deeply embedded in the business and you know everything in and out of the business as well as the IT side, right? The solutions. And then you also get to grow or like climb that ladder. And you could, go into maybe a director position, VP, SVP, whatever you want to call it. There's two ways to look at it. But you are within one domain. And for me, I need change in my life. It was hard for me after maybe 4 or 5 years in one domain for me to stick in that domain. And I felt like, okay, I've learned a lot. Yes, I could grow in this area, but I want to go learn something more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how cyber, I haven't done so much of cyber. And that's why I landed here. And I said, we talked, Jen and I talked, and we're like, let's go get our systems so we can learn more. So that's my mindset. I need to be learning and doing something new all the time. And after a few years, if you give me that same old project again or same old thing, like, here's another merger or here's another whatever it is, then I get
Mm-hmm.
bored. So that's the two kind of ways you can look at it.
Yeah, Jen, do you have maybe a same take on that, or have you found that you like to stay in the same area and carry over from organization to organization, what you've learned and maybe improve as you go, or what's your take?
I think when you're newer in the workforce, try a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
See where your passion lies. And I did that. Like I said, I went through procurement and I went through
Mm-hmm.
sales transformation. I was in mergers and acquisitions, and then I did a stint in security, and I'm like, these are my people. This is where I
Right.
need to be. So I planted there, and then I started getting deeper and deeper.
Sure.
But I was able to utilize some of what I learned, like Sukanya said, an inch deep and a mile wide. I was able to use some of that and bring it into my security project management, and be successful while I was getting deeper.
Okay, so for our last question then, since we've all arrived at cyber, well, I haven't, but since you ladies are both in cyber, um, there are many listeners to the podcast who don't know what it's like to do project management in cybersecurity. Is there, from where you've come from before, what's new, what's a little different? What is it like? What are the differences? I know there's a lot of similarities, but what are maybe the differences in cybersecurity projects?
Urgency. I think there's a lot of urgency. And we spoke previously about having to be agile and change quickly. The cyber landscape changes all the time. And so we have to be able to change direction continuously in what we do. Sometimes we don't finish projects. They get repurposed,
Mm.
they get stalled, they get canceled, and we have a whole new direction that's more urgent. And just having that mindset that that's okay to do. Let's put on our other hat and we'll go in this direction. Um, but it's also exciting because every day is different. Every day is different.
What
Yeah,
do you
and to
think,
add to,
Sukanya?
I can add to that. So, I would say technical acumen is also higher when you're in cyber security. That
Mm.
requirement is higher. And I would agree, urgency. There are some projects that you just have to get it done ASAP because this is a matter of, protecting something or the other, right? For the technical acumen piece for your viewers, I would say go look at ISC2. There's a free CC, I forget what it is, cyber something training
Cybersecurity certification training.
certification. Okay, so go get that training.
It's called a CC and it's through ISC squared, the certification group. We could put a link for that in there. Yeah, and they have an initiative to get, believe, 1 million people certified. So they're offering it for free, the training and the test certification. It's just cybersecurity. It gives you some of the basic knowledge for cybersecurity. It's an entry level certification for cyber.
I just wanted to thank you both for joining us today. It's been very enlightening to be able to talk to two very accomplished women from a company that is so large and global and diverse and fun and exciting, and to hear about cybersecurity to hear about cybersecurity projects and how they differ from other maybe areas and organizations. Thank you for being here, Jen. Thank you for using your skills in empathy and fun and relationship building. And just like you said, self proclaimed, a little bit of that organization that allows you to just naturally take on more and more and bring more into the fold. And Sukanya, for your big letter D. I love D. It just gets things done and it makes sure that we don't let anything get by us. Jen, like you said, if you need something looked over and that extra checkup of excellence, Sukanya can be the one that's there to put her D stamp on it. We love that. But most importantly, I've enjoyed meeting you just as people. It was great to meet you at PMI Global Summit. I appreciate you taking your time to be with us today. And we'll share a link to the Microsoft but gaming division website below. We'll share your LinkedIn profiles in case anyone would like to connect with you online. And some of the other links we talked about will drop there in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, Trina. This was really wonderful.
I'm glad you had fun. Thank you for joining us today with our guests, Jen and Sukanya.